There are moments in life when your mind doesn't just feel tired. It feels like it's gone dim, as if someone turned down the volume on your thoughts, your emotions, and even your ability to care. You find yourself going through the motions, answering messages with half a heart, staring at tasks that once felt simple and now feel impossibly heavy. You aren't sad exactly. You aren't angry. You're something quieter, something harder to name. You're shutting down. And if this is you, if you've been moving through the world with a kind of emotional numbness you can't fully explain, I want you to know you're not alone, and nothing about you is broken. Mentally shutting down is not a failure. It's a psychological response, a deeply wired survival mechanism that activates when your mind has been carrying too much for too long. To understand what's happening, you have to start by recognizing one simple truth. The mind shuts down when it no longer feels safe staying open. When emotional overload becomes too heavy, your brain switches into conservation mode. It tries to protect you the only way it knows how, by dimming the internal lights, by reducing emotional input, by turning down your sensitivity so you don't shatter under the weight of what you're holding. It feels like numbness, but it's really self-protection. It feels like apathy, but it's actually exhaustion. It feels like you've stopped caring, but really, you've stopped having anything left to give. And none of that makes you weak. It makes you human. People shut down for many reasons. Sometimes it happens after long stretches of stress, where you've been holding it together for everyone else. Sometimes it follows emotional pain you weren't prepared for. A betrayal, a disappointment, an unresolved conflict you keep avoiding because you don't have the energy to face it. Other times it comes from chronic overstimulation, when life has been asking more of you than you've had space to process. Mental shutdown is your mind saying, I need a break you aren't giving me. It's the psychological equivalent of a fuse blowing. Not because the system is broken, but because it's trying to prevent something worse. But here's the part most people misunderstand. Shutting down doesn't mean you've stopped feeling. It means your emotions have gone underground. Underneath the numbness, there is usually hurt. Underneath the quiet, there is fatigue. Underneath the apathy, there is a person who has been running on empty for far too long, hoping things would get better if they just kept pushing. So if you've been hard on yourself for withdrawing, for losing motivation, for becoming distant or quiet, try to soften that judgment. Your mind isn't malfunctioning. It's trying to keep you afloat. The path forward begins with recognizing that shutdown is not something you can think your way out of. You can't logic your way back to motivation. You can't shame yourself into feeling again. Mental shutdown is a nervous system response, not a character flaw. And nervous systems heal through gentleness, not pressure. So the first step is something deceptively simple. Stop trying to snap out of it. When you fight shutdown, it tightens. When you blame yourself for it, it deepens. When you pretend you're fine, it lasts longer. Your mind needs acknowledgement, not denial. A simple internal sentence like, I'm overwhelmed, and that's why I'm shutting down, can soften the tension inside your body. It shifts you out of self-blame and into understanding. The second step is restoring a sense of emotional safety. A mind that's overwhelmed needs signals that it's allowed to rest, allowed to slow down, allowed to stop performing. Emotional safety isn't about fixing anything immediately. It's about creating the inner conditions where you can feel again. For some people, emotional safety comes from quiet, turning down the noise of the world so their mind can breathe. For others, it comes from simple routines, small, predictable moments that anchor them back into their body. Warm showers, soft music, stepping outside for air, holding something comforting like a blanket or a warm cup. These aren't trivial actions, they are grounding mechanisms. They remind your nervous system that the world isn't closing in on you. The third step is expression, and this one is hard when you're numb. But even gentle expression matters. You don't need to spill your heart or articulate everything perfectly. You just need to let something out. A sentence on a page, a voice note to yourself, a quiet conversation with someone safe. Expression allows the emotional buildup underneath shutdown to begin moving again. even if only a little. The fourth step is reconnecting with small, manageable forms of meaning. Shutdown often wipes out your sense of purpose. Tasks feel pointless. Joy feels distant. Motivation disappears. Trying to leap back into big goals won't work. What your mind needs is tiny sparks. Micro moments of connection that remind you there is still something worth feeling. This could be a gentle sunrise, a piece of music that wraps around you, a small creative idea, a slow walk, a moment of unexpected kindness. You don't chase joy. You let joy find you in small doses. Over time, these moments accumulate. They tell your mind it's safe to wake up again. But the most important step, the one that determines whether you truly come out of shutdown or slip back into it, is learning what pushed you to the edge in the first place. Shutdown is not random. It is the final stage of emotional overextension. Maybe you've been carrying too much responsibility. Maybe you've been ignoring your own needs. Maybe you've been performing stability for others while falling apart internally. Maybe you've been living in survival mode for months. Maybe you've been avoiding the truth about a relationship, a job, or a situation that has drained you quietly over time. Healing requires honesty. What has been costing you more than you can afford to give? You don't have to fix everything overnight. You just have to start honoring your limits instead of punishing yourself for having them. You have to become someone who notices your early signs of overwhelm, not someone who pushes past them until the only option left is shutting down. Moving forward doesn't mean becoming your old self again. The version of you before shutdown was functioning, yes, but also overworked, overstretched, or emotionally underprotected. The goal is not to return to them. The goal is to evolve into someone who understands your own thresholds and respects them. Little by little, you rebuild trust with yourself. You begin to listen to your body instead of overriding it. You begin to choose rest before collapse. You begin to say no without justifying it. You begin to create a life that doesn't require you to shut down just to survive it. And slowly, something begins to shift. You feel a little lighter, a little more grounded. You laugh unexpectedly. You find yourself caring again, not because you forced yourself to, but because your emotional bandwidth has slowly returned. You feel present again. You feel human again. Shutting down doesn't mean you're gone. It means your mind needed a pause your life didn't give you. And now, slowly, gently, you're giving yourself the space to return. Not as the overwhelmed version of you, but as someone stronger, more self-aware, more connected to your inner world. It starts with understanding, then softness, then small steps, then honest boundaries. Then life begins opening again. Not all at once, but piece by piece. You are not failing, you are healing, and you're finding your way back to yourself in the quietest, most beautiful way.